Hello and welcome to another episode of Throttle Stop Garage. Okay, in episode 40, we're going to go back in time, several months actually, to finish off the oil pan. So we addressed the cutting of the oil pan in episode 24, so you can always go back and have a look at episode 24 for the start of this. So there I was trying to set up how to exactly to get this rather wide oil pan situated between the back side of the lower control arm mounts. So when I made those lower control arm mounts, I knew that I was going to have some struggles with this oil pan. I might have made them a little differently had I known it was going to be this much fun. I'm still happy with the way I've done it, but it has taken me quite a long time to get back onto this project, and for no reason. So I probably should have finished this quite a long time ago, but sometimes that's just the way these projects go. The elements get left. I still haven't got the sway bar in, right? That's even from further back. So we'll get those projects kind of cleaned up here over the next couple of episodes. Now, last episode, at the end of episode 39, when I still had a few minutes left in the garage, I managed to get one of the pieces actually welded up, which was the extension for the passenger side of that oil pan. Okay, so here you can see that finished part. So I'm pretty happy with the way that all turned out. All right, welds look really good. The fitment was pretty easy. Corner here, so that's, you know, a full width of weld that's in there. Literally, you could smash it with a hammer. It's never going anywhere. Okay, so that's the part. Now what we need to do is fit this onto the oil pan and then weld that up. So that's going to get us back some of the volume that we took out. In this small thing, probably about half a liter. Again, I'm not too worried about the overall volume in this particular pan because I will be running an AccuSump just given the way that I had to plumb it, so that if I'm going around a corner hard and I lose oil pressure for any reason, the AccuSump will kick in and throw a little bit of extra oil my way. So I'm not too worried about that. And really, for the amount of track time this car is ever going to see, I'm sure none of this actually represents a problem. But the problem kicks in over on the engine side. So let's just take you in and show you the pan as it's mounted in the engine. Okay, so here's the engine and oil pan in the car, and all of the suspension parts are on. The frame is at ride height where it'll eventually go. The frame isn't currently welded in the car. And I don't need it welded in the car at this point, so it's not going to get welded in until I need it in. Okay, so now that we're zoomed right in on that oil pan part, you can see some of the challenges here that I guess I've given myself as much as anything. So this area right in here, there's a bit of a boss right here. And it comes out, and when I cut the pan, I didn't cut it very straight. I mean, I cut it pretty straight, but it's not perfect. So there's going to be some fitment challenges to try to get that in there and leveled off. And towards the back side here, I kind of can't take any more. So I'm almost at a zero where this comes down out at the back end here. Hopefully my head's not in the shot. So at that back corner, I just can't come out anymore because of those features. Now I can grind those back a little bit more, but then it doesn't really leave me a whole lot of kind of corner to get weld to. So I need to be pretty careful about that. So I'm better off, it would have been better off to cut the thing a little bit more straight, but anyway, I did the best I could, and there you go. Sometimes these things happen, so now you have to just deal with it on the fit side. It shouldn't be a big deal. It's not really going to be a big deal, but you can see how it goes in. When it's in at the wide front edge, probably have a 1/4 inch. The back edge probably about 3/16 of an inch. So I'd like to have a little bit more clearance there as well, just a bit. Again, this engine's not really going to move a whole ton. I mean, all engines move, but it is my intent to run both. I mean, the engine mounts that I've made, as you can see in here, they're really not going anywhere. I mean, they're fully supporting the engine. And I will also put a brace on the back of the head as per I mean, there's a spot for that on the engine itself, so I will use that. So the engine will be pretty rigidly mounted, so I'm not worried that it will be the torque, the twist of the engine that'll rotate this into a frame. I just don't think it'll happen. I just want a little bit of, I want enough clearance so that when I put the engine in, when everything's pretty and painted, that I'm not worried about damaging things when I go to do that. Like, you don't want to, like, you know, go to drop your engine in and smack your pan into your frame, and that'll cause havoc. Okay, so that's the passenger side. That's reasonably easy. In fact, I think I can probably sort that out. I'm going to say it. I may be able to sort it out today. So let's now move over to the driver's side, which presents a bit more of a challenge. Okay, so this is the driver's side, and the orange tape sort of shows you where the issue is. So the frame, again, if I had a third hand here, I could point to it. The frame, you can see the lower control arm bushing. You can see that comes up to the frame member here, right? So that's in the center of the frame there. And I've marked on the pan with some orange tape. Again, when this all went back in, I thought, well, that's a bit unfortunate, because I don't need to take it all off towards the back, right? I guess we're okay there. But towards the front side of that, same deal. I had a really complex pattern kind of marked out there, and then I looked at my ability to bend this material, like the aluminum around those corners, and I just don't like it. So I'm going to make that just one straight piece that goes from the bottom of the pan to the top, following the outside edge of that orange line, which will give me 3/4 of an inch, because that's the width of the tape, worth of clearance all the way around. Actually, I probably can be a little bit, I'll be a little bit more careful with that cut and mark it out a little better. But anyway, we'll follow that around, and we'll get that cut off and try to make that nice and easy. Okay, the last part here is sort of centered in the frame. You can see the green tape towards the top of the pan. And the sort of boss on the front side is my steering rack. So I had to create a little bit of clearance. It wasn't touching there. That shows it a little bit better from this angle, but I just needed a little bit, or at least I think I needed a little bit of clearance there. So if I get my finished height right, that'll give me lots of clearance there, and we'll be fine. So there's 3 areas to repair. Okay, so that's our challenge for this episode, is to see if we can get those 3 areas repaired. So with one part already finished, the other parts, some fabrication is required. I have to make both the filler pieces and get them welded in. I also have an engine cradle, the bottom side of an engine. It's for a 6-cylinder, but it doesn't matter. They all bolt up. And I'll be bolting all the pan down to that, because we can't have this pan warp. I've already had this machined, so it's already machined flat. I guess I rushed there. I cut this pan a long time ago, cut it and welded it. And I thought, well, I won't need to modify the pan to get it in my car. And then, of course, I need to modify it to get it in my car. So really hoping I don't warp it. So we'll be really careful with the heat. It's off on the edges and sides, so I'm pretty confident that this is going to be just fine. All right, so without any further from me, time to get to work. Cheers. Okay, it's time to get that test fitting started. So here we are. We get going with the grinder here. Now, I'm actually using these new flex discs. Walter makes them. I don't have to do anything with the disc in order to grind the aluminum, so super convenient for this sort of work. I've also got some Walter, again, they don't sponsor the channel or anything, right? But I've also got their aluminum cutting discs, which I'm going to use here in just a second to get that done. So what I did there first was just fit that extension to get the angles right, and then I trimmed it to the right height, right? So I had to knock about 1/8 of an inch off of it. I was looking for about 2 inches, so I got 2 inches, so pretty happy with that. Now over to the other side where we're working on the little complex piece there, so I've had to cut that angle off, and now I'm just cleaning all of that up. I'm trying to, as I put the other piece back in, I was scratching my head, why did I cut the pan there? I didn't need to at all, but I did. So Anyway, lessons learned. It just created a ton of work to put these pieces back in, but anyway, it's worth it for the little bit of volume that I'm going to get out of that. I mean, again, there's another, you know, what, 100 milliliters or something like that in there. It probably, again, I don't think I lost all that much out of the pan. I'm sort of, at the end of the day, I'm like, well, you know, you can see there I've marked the oil level on that one little area of the pan. I don't think I've lost too much. I did get that first try. Yeah, I didn't even measure it. I just, yeah, stopped for a cup of coffee after that one. You won. Anyways, making a bigger radius means lots of little pushes with that round die in the press brake. And then that piece starts to get fit up. This took about total, fitting up these parts took about 3 hours. I'm going to reduce it to about a minute. So just to make it tolerable. So tons of fitting, tons of little, you know, rounds and details and, you know, ins and outs as the pattern is, as the metal gets formed anyways, the paper pattern is getting refined there. We pop these bits and pieces in. Alright, so we're just about done with that. Got it all pressed up, ready to go. Now for that final patch. This one was terrible to do. So I grabbed a little bit of that 50-52 plate is what I'm using. It's 5 mil thick. So it's pretty sturdy stuff. About the same thickness as the pan, maybe even a little thicker. And the shape is complicated there, the angles and everything. So out comes the die grinder for the final fitment. And I'm getting sprayed with these shards of razor sharp little needles of aluminum. They're absolutely everywhere. So face protection, hearing protection, an extra smock. I mean, just, you know, you'll end up picking those things out of your clothes for days. All right, now we're getting ready to weld. So we're still not done yet. These are reasonably clean parts, but aluminum oxidizes about the instant you stop sanding it. So you have to get after it pretty quickly here to get this all done. So I'm just using some surface conditioning discs and then some Windex again to clean this all up. I've never had, like, I don't think this stuff's not coming in dirty enough to worry about anything stronger than that. The pan, by the way, has also been heat cycled once. I actually put it in my barbecue and cooked it. So, and that was when I welded it the first time, right? So it's been cleaned out really well already. So, and there I prepped my welding rods and I just used like paper towel and wiped them clean. Like just wipe the oxide layer off them. You'd be surprised how effective that is. All right, so final little hand cleaning here, and then out come the clamps and on go the parts. So again, those TIG settings are about the same. Most of this I'm running with the machine at full hit at 200 amps. I'm not using a full pedal, so you have to be careful with that. And then for AC balance, I'm at 70% electrode negative. And I think I was at 100 hertz. I think, you know, I'm going to try to turn the hertz up because I can go to 200 on this machine. So I might try to turn the frequency up to increase my penetration a little bit. So I'll try that on the next aluminum job, which will be an intake manifold probably if I keep going at this rate. So we'll continue playing with the TIG settings for this thicker material. And as I was editing this, I mean, I know in the cut piece I'm going to tell you that I was having some issues with the TIG, but on sober reflection, you'll see that I didn't stop welding here for a long time, and I'm at full. It's too much. That's too much for this machine. So probably should have taken it easy on it and been a little better there. All right, so lots of stuff on the bench to prop on. I always try to get hands propped. You see I've got a couple of pieces of channel there that I've welded together as a stand. I use that a lot. Again, get yourself in comfortable positions if you're going to weld and make them look good. So you can't be shaky. I also use the wire brush constantly. It doesn't matter if I've cleaned it already. I mean, before every weld area, I'm going in with that wire brush, the stainless steel wire brush. It's got aluminum only written on it for a reason. And and I'm gonna touch up pretty much every run just before I weld it. Again, you got to give yourself every chance to get this stuff welded nicely. Alright, the last little round bit across the shield here. I started thinking of it that way. It kind of looks like the Volvo shield. And then this was the part that was causing me problems. Just a bad torch angle to get in. Okay, well, I sure did have to fight that last little part of the weld. Castings, what are you going to do? Actually, these Volvo castings are very, very good. I've never had a problem welding it. That's the first time. And it was the last, you know, literally 3 centimeters. And it took me an hour to do it. There's the pan all done. Again, super happy with the way it all turned out. I'm not upset with any of it at all, really. Like, it worked really well. See if I can get things to sort of focus in here so you can have a look. Alright, so those are the parts there. Yeah, this corner here as well was a problem. So I've just, you know, just added a bunch of weld into it to make it nice, to make sure it's going to seal. Again, not always about looks, but it sure is pretty. There's that complicated patch here that just makes sure that my steering's got lots of clearance through the backside. This part here I had already cut and welded before, and I'll weld it up on the inside just to make sure. The rest of it, all I'm going to do, again, just clear it off on the inside and give it a quick coat of JB Weld or DevCon. I think I've got some DevCon around here, so I'll use that. And then that'll seal it up. I mean, I'm not 100% sure I'm able to push penetration through this stuff all the time. This is pretty thick material, again, for that welder. There you can see that back side of it, and no, lights aren't doing too bad with showing that up. So, you know, I don't do this all the time, but I probably still could. Okay, that's going to be a wrap for this episode. I can't tell you what's going to be on the next one. I have no idea. Again, it's the end of the night on Sunday. I'm absolutely wiped. There's lots of little cleanup jobs probably that I should be doing. So I'll just I'll have a look at the list and see what we can get done for episode 41. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Appreciate all the support that I get. And we'll catch you on the next video.